guilty, he would immediately say, absolutely, let's do an inquiry. 100% an inquiry should be done. This is the biggest defense contract. It's Air Force money. I'm the Prime Minister of India. I have done nothing wrong. Have an inquiry. Why is he not having an inquiry? Simple. Now, my friends in the media, these days, they're pressurized, they're controlled. So they don't really like to talk about these things. And I can give you a list of defense contracts that Mr. Anil Ambani and Mr. Modi's friends have been given. One after the other. And they've only got caught on RAFL, which happens to be the biggest contract in the world. So that's why everybody is saying, Chaukidar chor hai. Now look, they attacked the Congress party. They attacked the Congress party on corruption. And we took action on corruption. We sacked people. So, fairness requires that when so blatantly, so publicly it is being said that corruption has taken place, if the Prime Minister wasn't guilty, he should have said, listen, I'm investigating this thing. The people who are responsible for this thing are going to jail. That's what he would have done. Why is he not doing that? You want to say something? By the way, another thing. Why does the Prime Minister not have conversations like this? Yeah, say. I'm happy to answer whatever you want. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Rahul. My name is Aditya, and in reference to the explanation that you gave, I want to tell you that the common Indian is stuck in a situation where the mainstream political parties who rule once and then switch parties, one party is accused of one scam and the other is accused of many more.
That's absolutely true. So, and yeah, go ahead.
So at the end of the day, these are accusations. The opposition and other members unitedly took the RAFL deal to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said no.
No, that's not what happened.
It's been reopened.
No. That's not what happened. 1 second. Let's be clear about what happened. The Supreme Court said it is not our jurisdiction to decide on these matters. It is the jurisdiction of the political class. The Supreme Court said do a JPC. Right? That's not what happened. So it is absolutely wrong to say that the Supreme Court said there should be no inquiry. It did not say that. 1 second. After that, documents were handed to the Supreme Court through the Hindu, which clearly state, Defense Ministry documents, that Mr. Narendre Modi, yeah, we'll come to you. Let me. That Mr. Narendre Modi personally negotiated the Dassault contract. That's criminal. By any measure that is criminal, he should go to jail for that. It's simple. There's no confusion there. It's black and white, open shut.
Mr. Gandhi, if I may impose the prerogative of the moderator to get the topic back on entrepreneurship, that would be great, because we've got a few other questions.
Sorry I kept long.
No, absolutely. I mean, I can see in the political environment, it's a passionate thing, but I would like a few of our entrepreneurs. Anvita is there. If she could ask a question about women's entrepreneurship and rural entrepreneurship. Anvita, are you here? And then I'll get a few more questions in. We'll try and keep these quick, please, because we're running short on time.
Mine is more about rural entrepreneurship. The question is, what kind of policy interventions do you think would help better align rural entrepreneurs with the urban consumer, urban demand, and kind of help bridge the gap between rural and the urban sector?
I mean, I think just making an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is somebody who's trying to utilize his skills to build a business. I think they're, in India today, people are moving rural, urban, and these systems are very connected. So I think looking at it purely and saying this is a rural entrepreneur, this is an urban entrepreneur, is in itself a slight problem. But if you're looking at the rural area, then connecting the rural area to the city, transforming how our railway network works, allowing rural people to move fast across India, making sure that, again, the type of skills that they require, the type of information that they need, what I spoke about, giving them training, introducing them to people who have built businesses like yourselves, bringing them into a conversation with the ecosystem, that type of stuff would help. And then, of course, in government contracts and in other spaces, helping them a little bit, saying, look, you're sort of struggling against all odds, so we will create little spaces for you to sell your products, etc. But giving them a little bit of a helping hand.
Thank you. I'm going to ask rapid fire questions of some of the folks because we're running out of time. Akshay Shah had a question on e-commerce policy. I'm sorry, we're not taking questions, right? I'm sorry. We've got a lot of questions that were submitted earlier, and we'd like to go to them. Akshay, are you here? I see a hand up there. Can you get him a mic? There was a new e-commerce policy that has been promulgated. It's in draft form now, and you had a question, Akshay?
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Rahulji. Pleasure to have you in Bangalore. So I wanted to ask your perspective on the new e-commerce policy that essentially imposed a lot of restrictions on the big e-commerce platforms, from selling their own product, doing private labels, providing discounts to end consumers, which were very beneficial, and also putting constraints on sellers like us to be able to sell on the platform. So wanted to see if the Congress government came to power, would they continue with that policy? Would they change it? What would they do?
I haven't gone into the details of it. I haven't really gone into the details of it. I'll have to go into the details of it before I comment. But I have been given a little bit of a briefing on it. I think there are issues with warehousing in the policy that I've been told about. And there's a balance that has to be created between the really large players and the smaller players. I don't know how that policy creates the balance, but I think we would think about it in terms of being fair to all the stakeholders. I don't think we would, go one way or the other way.
Thank you.
There's one question from Meena Ganesh. Meena is a very accomplished entrepreneur who's built businesses of scale in the past, but also now is building a healthcare business. Meena?
Thank you, Rahulji. We spoke a little earlier.
Yes.
My big concern is for the elderly population in this country. As I was saying, that I don't see any thought through 360-degree method of providing them with the various things. One is healthcare, to mental well-being, community support, some kind of livelihood, so that they can remain, because they're going to live much longer than ever did, and that's great. They're going to be having chronic diseases, not so great, but that's the reality. And we are sitting on a big ticking time bomb. What is your party's thought on how we're going to support this elderly population?
I mean, in our manifesto, we are thinking about a right to health. So providing basic minimum health care to the entire population, that's something that would be helpful. Increasing the amount that we spend on healthcare of our budget. I think we're also thinking about a minimum income guarantee scheme that guarantees that nobody in India will have an income below a certain floor. So that, of course, for the poorer older people, that would be a help. But I think right to healthcare would be a powerful thing to help older people who are having health problems. We would be building large numbers of hospitals, PHCs, etc., and then giving access to those structures.
Great. We've run out of time, but I have a couple of personal questions for you. One is, had you not been born into the circumstances you're in, might you have been an entrepreneur? Would you have done a startup?
We are all in our own ways entrepreneurs. I mean, that's what everybody's doing. I think I don't run a business, and I don't think about it like a business. But even in politics, we have to keep thinking on our feet, being pretty flexible and fast moving. So in some ways we are, No, and not engineering.
You could have been a software engineer.
Not engineering for me, no. Yeah. No, not good looking enough. Writer I can still be. I mean, I do write a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. And then, one last personal question that came in on the wire. A couple of people asked, what is a day like in your life? Do you, I know it's the political season now, but, what is a normal day like? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Work day.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Or what you do for fun or whatever. Is the
Meeting
question.
a lot of people, listening to them. I get to see some very interesting things. And I go to places where a lot of people don't have the opportunity to go. For example, I meet people who a lot of people don't meet. Like just a few days ago, I was in Uttarakhand and I met some of the CRPF, the families of the CRPF members who died. It's quite an emotional experience because you come into contact with somebody who's in tremendous pain. And so you can see how they're reacting to things. You sometimes have to comfort them. So you see sort of very deeply into issues. You naturally end up in places where you're like, oh, look, I'm talking to the brother of the person who just gave his life. And he's telling me that, my brother is never going to come through the door again. So empathizing with people, in a sense, I've had that same experience. So in that case, I could say, look, I've been through the same thing. So it's a lot of those type of conversations. And a lot of time people are coming with huge amount of expectation. We want you to do this. And then there are multiple people coming. So it becomes more and more listening. And with me, what it's doing is it's humbling. So you start to realize how small you actually are and how big the universe and the world is, and how your impact, even though you might think your impact is big, your impact is actually quite small when it comes to the big forces that are at play. So it's a very humbling experience. I see it as a journey. So I see it as, okay, I'm on a journey and I try to learn from the journey. And that's how I view my life.
Taking that journey theme a little forward, my last question for you is, as you look at the startup ecosystem, India, I'm sorry, if I could we have no more time. We have no more time right now. I'm sorry, we have no more time now. We have a limited amount of time. Question is about where you see, as we close here, if you could make a few closing comments that summarize your thoughts, the startup ecosystem.
We'll come.
I'm sorry. Very bad.
Yeah. Just 1 second. We'll do it. Everybody has issues. Huh?
No, I'm sorry. Because,
Doesn't matter.
I was given a time check.
No problem. Now, what would you like to say? I'll take a question here.
I understand. Everybody's keen to talk. I know. We have hundreds of questions. We picked as many as we could. That was a varied set of questions that represented all kinds of folks. Okay, across the board.
Ask.
Okay, he's going to.
Yeah, I know your organization. Here, you can have this.
See, our organization motto or the slogan is, we are job givers. We are not job seekers. Number one. See, your coalition government is governing this state. They are giving only the rosy picture of doing ease of business. I want to give a schedule caste problem.
Tell me.
There is one organization called KSFC, Karnataka Finance Corporation Limited. See, on last year.
Can you do me a favor?
Please.
This is a sort of specific question. If you come and talk to me once we're done, I'll happily talk to you for 5 minutes and understand what you're trying to say.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. That was most gracious of you and got me off the hook.
No, no.
I would like you to kind
My
of.
job here is to do that. My job here is to listen.
Very good.
Look, I just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. First of all, it's fine. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for what you're doing for the country. Each one of you, in your own way, are working very, very hard and trying to make this country successful. So I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing. I understand that you struggle. I understand that you face an uphill battle, and my doors are open for you in any way I can help you. I don't promise you that I'll resolve everything, that you bring to me, but my intention will be there to try and help you. I think as far as India is concerned, we're on a very positive track. There are very, very powerful things that this country has. Its people, its nature, the way we deal with each other, our technical capabilities. So I'm pretty optimistic. The only thing I would like to say is that a country which is divided, a country which is angry, a country which is fighting within itself is not going to be successful. So you have to do your little bit so that this country calms down, doesn't sort of have this sort of very angry feeling to it, and we get back, happily where we were, and we move on. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi.
One picture, please. I love you.